Hi, everybody, and welcome to our first review on the channel. It's going to be the first review of many because we're planning on starting a series where we play Game Pass games that come out on Game Pass and just we play them, generally try and complete them, and then give a review afterwards. This game I didn't get a chance to complete because I was streaming it through cloud onto my PC, and the cloud is very dodgy. Like, my internet's very good, and for the first hour and a half to hour I was playing it, it was perfect. And then there's actually a stream up on the channel if you want to go check it out, where I kind of give my first impressions and my general vibe. I don't play a lot of beat 'em ups, so I'm not like a professional. There's people out there who will be much better at this game than me, but if you want to kind of see what a new person's experience was like, then you could go give that a check. Or if you just like my personality, I do talk a lot about Marvel comics and kind of Marvel related stuff because I'm a big Marvel fan myself, and I do read a lot of comics and watch all the media. So yeah, let's break down the review. Outside of the cloud being a little difficult, and I would say I think the developer should have put this game onto PC rather than put it through the cloud, because, as I said, someone with good internet, I did miss out on experiencing the full enjoyment of this game due to that. I'm not going to hold it against the game in my rating or my review overall. It's just something to note. The gameplay you're seeing on the screen right now is unaffected by the lagginess of the cloud. So any crap gameplay you see, that is entirely my fault. Um, let's start off with the pros, because I think it's always good to focus on what was fun rather than what was shit. The combat was really fun. I loved it. I loved the diversity of characters, the different options, the different move sets. I'm not a big combo person, so that element of the game didn't truly enjoy. But I could see, like, if you were somebody who wanted to get into how to combo and was into that sort of stuff, like you were into Street Fighter and those things, you were really going to enjoy this game. They're not my types of game, but I could see the appeal for those type of gamers. So if you're into that kind of stuff, comboing and kind of learn the kind of quick button combinations and stuff, you're gonna have a good time. That's first and foremost. Secondly, you can see the graphics on the stream on the screen right now. Um, the graphics are really nice. I don't need all my graphics to be fancy, over the top, really expensive. I think sometimes just some nice pixel, like these are pixelated, but they look fantastic. And I have to say, really, really impressed by how it looked up until the stream started to collapse, the cloud streaming started to collapse. But up until that point, graphics were amazing. And again, that wasn't so much on the game, and I put that more onto Xbox's cloud streaming idea of that being a solution, and also charging us just to stream when it's not even working correctly. So that's one aspect. There were the kind of two big pros I would say off the top, is the graphics and how the combat kind of went, along with the diversity of options. You would have seen at the start of there that there's a big list, and also areas to expand, which I think is really, really key for the future of the game. Is, I mean, we all know that Marvel have hundreds of characters and hundreds of IPs. There's so much option to who they can add, DLC, and while the game is quite short, I believe it's only about 2.5 hours long. Um, the actual the actual replayability is so there, because each character I picked up did feel like a very, very different vibe to play. I think what was also really nice was the enemy diversity. Whilst you look, similar enemies do obviously appear, or like maybe the skin is a change, but the ability they're doing is similar. It was just nice that each mission generally had different enemies, or even if they had a majority of the same enemies, they added a few extra tough ones that you have to try and get used to. So that was cool, and I really liked that side of it. The UI felt really smooth and good as well, which is, I find, really important. I think bad UI can really kill a game. If I'm getting pissed off at trying to get around the screen, it's a huge negative for me, as someone who just like, I play a lot of games, so I just want to get around. If your game's hard or difficult to play, I'll go play something else at the end of the day. Um, what else would I kind of say now on the positive side? It was very comic accurate. I loved the outfits and stuff. The outfits were brilliant, and I really enjoyed the the look of all the characters. I know I said the graphics were nice, but the actual, I think they really nailed how the characters look and feel. And it felt like you were playing as Iron Man. It felt like you were playing as Storm. It felt like you were playing as Black Panther. Those all felt really good. I did try over half the characters, so whilst I didn't get enough time on it that I wanted, I did try all the characters out, or not all of them, but the majority of them. So I did get a good experience on that. I'll speak about the cons now and just move on to that side of things. So obviously I mentioned the cloud gaming. I don't want to overly focus on that, but again, I do feel like it's important. If you're somebody who has it on PC who wants to stream it, you might run into some issues. It could have been my internet, of course. The weather wasn't the best here, so that can mess up my internet sometimes, but everything else on my internet was working perfectly fine, and it was only the cloud that wasn't working well, so I kind of don't think it was the internet. and I double checked that no one else in the house. I live with my girlfriend. I double checked that she wasn't on Netflix or anything, because I was like, oh, maybe she's on Netflix or whatever, and maybe that's messing it up, and I'm being overly harsh here. But no, it was just, it didn't really seem to be working, and that was a bit of a frustration because I did want to stream the whole game live. So that was frustrating. The combat was janky at times, and by that I mean, and you'll see some examples of it here throughout, when I'm switching, like you're having characters combo in together, it's very difficult to see where the enemy is, where your guys are, what's happening. There's a lot of white kind of explosions and slashes going on the screen, and I find that very difficult to see what's actually happening on the screen. It was genuinely easier to go to the levels just as a character. Like look, Black Panther here, I'm not struggling as much. I do say that as I get my ass handed to me by Triceratops. As I said, these aren't really my games, so I'm not going to be very good, and the gameplay is not going to be amazing. But yeah, I did find that it was almost easier to just play with your character than try and combo. And I'm sure there's people who are going to learn to combo and they're going to be like going through these levels in 3 minutes. But as someone new to these kind of games, it was very just difficult, especially on boss fights when a lot of the bosses aren't affected by your stun moves and stuff properly. So, you're hitting them, but you can't really see when they're hitting you back. And I did find that a little difficult. So look, I don't know what the fix to that is. I think it's just that type of gameplay, like where that's going to happen. And maybe that is just one of the cons that you have to accept with these kind of games. But yeah, that was something I found frustrating. Another con was, it was kind of, I don't like this moving up and down the screen kind of thing. I find it quite difficult. There was times where an enemy felt like it was level to you and it wasn't level at all, and it was very, very difficult to see the difference. Especially with the flying types. Like the flying types, for instance, let's say like where your man is here, I think his name's Sauron or Sauron or something like that. Anyway, I can't remember his name. He hasn't come up. I'm only on 1985 in the comics, 1986. So he hasn't appeared as like a lot in the comics. He might have already shown up. I think he has already shown up, but I just wouldn't remember his name. But I know he likes to try and turn everyone into dinosaurs. So that's the main gist of him. But either way, you'll see here, like he's fine. But like when he dives down there, I maybe you could hit him, but it was hard to tell. And that he's not a great example, but the more flying enemy types, like the ones that you'll see more throughout the game, they were very, very difficult to know if you were on their level or not on their level. And I found that quite frustrating. These kind of rhinos charging at you and stuff, or Triceratops, and I said rhinos, they're not rhinos at all. Triceratops, or any of the charging stuff, very difficult to see if you were hitting it or not. It almost felt random at times if I was getting hit by them, and it felt very hard to dodge them. And I understand, look, you got to have the difficulty curve. I found the game generally quite easy, even as someone who was exceptionally incompetent at it. But I don't know. It just didn't suit me much as a game thing. But maybe that's why I'm saying beat 'em ups aren't really for me. I didn't play. I know these developers made Shredder's Revenge, and that was hugely successful. I've done a bit of research here around the Reddit and in general, and the community seems to absolutely love and enjoy this game. So I'm not going to sit here and say the game's bad because, I don't like the moving up and down the screen. That isn't just for me, but if you're into that and you don't mind that kind of gameplay, I'm sure if I played another 3-4 hours, I'd be very used to it and it wouldn't bother me. But just as someone new to it, it was a little frustrating. Finally, I'm just going to finish off with some observation/advice. Sorry, I'm messing up a little bit here, but it is one of my first YouTube videos, so still kind of getting to ropes. If you're enjoying the content, if you like the format, please, hit a like, subscribe. I'm going to be honest and say I'm not the type of YouTuber that's going to be screaming at the camera, yelling really loud. It's just going to be me. I'm just like an Irish guy with a few friends that'll be on here, just playing games and chilling and relaxing. It's not going to be anything crazy. I'm not over the top, not loud. This is the kind of content you're going to get. So, stay tuned and enjoy. We do like the live stream. So, again, come along if you want to. Come along on the journey if you're feeling it. What's nice about us being a small channel is you're not going to have to deal with any fucking sponsorship deals popping up on your screen midway through the video. Anyway, back to the actual point of this review is the observations and advice. I would recommend playing with both a flying and ground character, because I tried to play with 2 flying characters. Really did not feel good. And I did not like it. It actually just popped up just as I said it. My editing is so on point that definitely didn't just coincidentally happen, as I have the video playing in the background. But yeah, it didn't feel very smooth. It felt a little awkward. I definitely felt so much better with like Black Panther and Storm, or Wolverine and Storm, and maybe like Iron Man and Black Panther. They all would have felt good. But Storm and Iron Man, I just didn't enjoy. Maybe I didn't know how to combo. Maybe that's more on me, but I didn't feel like it felt good. It definitely felt like the game felt like it wanted you to have a ground guy and someone who is up in the air as well. Like you could trade to being up in the air. Other bit of advice is just take your time. I think I was doing a lot of button spamming as you do in these kind of games when you're new to them, and I could have dodged a lot more if I just, when I was playing Black Panther, I slowed down a lot in that gameplay, and I felt like that was the best gameplay I had. And I just fought the enemies more steadily and slowly rather than rushing to try and kill them all within 5 seconds. And I think that's kind of a bit of advice. Just slow down until you understand all the combos and the moves they have to offer. Um, Big final piece of advice is pick the food up when you see it, because I, like, early on it felt like the food was a little more abundant. Later on it took ages for new food to show up. Maybe I was just missing the things you could break, like you can break these vases in the background here. Sometimes I was probably just missing them because it's kind of hard to differentiate them between the backgrounds sometimes, and if they're interactable, I find. But again, you'll just get used to that if you play, so that's not a huge criticism or anything. I did find there were times where the food dropped, and I went to go pick it up, and then it pushed me on to the next part of the level. Like it would be the boss fight, and I wouldn't get to pick the food up, and that was kind of annoying because that's exactly when you need the food to be at max HP. But other than that, I wouldn't say there was much of a problem with it. So overall, I'd probably give the game a 4 out of 5 for the genre it's in, because I like to review games not based on what I felt when I played it. Like if it was me, did I enjoy the game that much? I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. I had actually had a pretty fun time, a surprisingly one, maybe 3.5. In terms of what it's trying to be, which is a beat 'em up, I think it nailed every single box. I think if you're into beat 'em ups, you're gonna have an amazing time with this game. It's really well made. If you like Marvel, I'd give it a go. I'd genuinely, if you're like, oh, beat 'em ups aren't for me, I'd even give it a go, because I genuinely did have quite a fun time with it, which surprised me because I did go into it thinking, look, I'm going to make this review, but if I'm being honest with myself, I don't think I'm going to enjoy the game that much. And I'm more making this because it's on the Game Pass, and this is the kind of video I want to make. So look, I really want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, the video's just cut there. Please like and subscribe. I did think that was going to give me enough time, but it didn't. Please like and subscribe. I'm really glad anybody who watched to the end here. I'm really appreciative. And I hope you enjoyed the content. Thanks very much, guys.